So there's a lot of things going on right now in WWE. The fans really despise Triple H, and rightfully so. And the Royal Rumble recently was terrible. And there's a lot of things I'm going to tell you guys that there's going to be people that aren't going to agree with me, but I'm just going to say it because the truth needs to be known. What's really going on here is that this is a ruse. This is like a work. This is a shoot, okay? They actually want the fans to hate Triple H. It's on purpose. They're doing this entire thing so that they can get the fans to want Vince McMahon back in the WWE. It's done on purpose. It's like they're tricking the fans into thinking that Triple H is like accidentally bad at his job. Triple H is doing a bad job on purpose so that all the fans would beg and want Vince back, because there's rumors going on right now that they want Vince McMahon to return to the WWE. And what better way to do it than to have Triple H be a failure and make it seem like Triple H's ego is out of control and we need to have Vince McMahon back and all this shit. And they do this stuff in other forms of media. It's not just in wrestling, but it's a layer of a storytelling that it expands outside of the realm of just the programming of WWE. Now, would WWE really put their own company at jeopardy just to bring back Vince? Yes, I actually think they would. As crazy and as batshit insane as that sounds, I actually do believe this to be true. Because these are crazy people. Wrestling is a crazy business. You guys gotta think about this shit. Triple H is Vince's son-in-law. They're always talking to each other. They're thinking of plans, schemes, storylines to bring Vince back. That's why they came out with that Vince documentary on Netflix to try to smooth over a lot of the damage that Vince did to his legacy. And that's why they created the TV show Unreal, the new show on WWE. They're in the second season, I think. And they recently had this whole episode where Triple H was yelling and scolding LA Knight and telling him, oh, you botched something in the match, oh, you're an idiot, whatever. And LA Knight, he looks pissed, he looks disappointed, right? Well, this is on purpose. Unreal is not real at all. The title actually says that. Unreal? It's true, it's actually not real, it's scripted. It's fake, okay? Unreal isn't how it truly is backstage. They are winging it, and it's presented as if it's real to try to make new content, because people really want to know what's behind the scenes nowadays. Oh, like kayfabe is totally ruined nowadays, so Unreal is just another program of WWE. It's like the documentaries or whatever. It's not how it actually is. I mean, yes, they probably sit in that same room where they write the storylines for WWE, right? In the episodes. But the stuff that they film isn't what's actually going on, and there's going to be lots of stuff they don't really say on camera, okay? So the whole idea is to make LA Knight look like he's pissed at Triple H. That whole episode of Triple H scolding LA Knight was created on purpose so that Triple H will get heat from the fans, because people are going to watch that episode and they're going to be like, Triple H is an idiot, he's a dumbass. They want the fans to hate Triple H. Triple H is willing to do this for Vince. He's willing to do this for their company. LA Knight is the underrated hero, so they're still building up LA Knight because they have other shit going on, and LA Knight is underrated, so he should have had a bigger push in the past already. But the whole idea is make it seem like Triple H is a total dumbass and an idiot, and make LA Knight seem to be, keep making him underrated as fuck, okay? And then the whole idea, their whole plan, I think, is to bring Vince McMahon back, and then once Vince is back, then all of a sudden you guys are going to see LA Knight become like the world heavyweight champion in like the best way. LA Knight is going to be headlining WrestleMania. Who knows? LA Knight's going to fight Roman. They're going to do a whole thing with The Rock versus LA Knight, right? Because LA Knight is very similar to The Rock. That's what they're going to do. That's the whole plot. I don't know if you wrestling fans can remember this far back, but they used to do stuff like this in the past where they had certain programs, right, that aired in WWF during the Attitude Era, where they tried to convince the audience that what was happening was real, but it was really staged, just like all the other stuff. Remember the old interviews where they had Mick Foley? They had Jim Ross interview Mick Foley when Mick Foley was first starting out in WWF, and he had his character Mankind, and Mankind got all in JR's face, and he yelled at him, and they made it seem like, oh, this guy really is a maniac. He's not normal. But we realized, like years later, well, that was fixed. That was a show. It was a performance. But they presented it as if it was a real interview. This is real. Mick Foley really is batshit insane. He's unstable. And that's not true at all. Mick Foley's just a regular guy, and he has these amazing wrestling characters. So they did that back then. Why do you guys think they wouldn't do that now with Unreal? It's the same thing. But because the way they present Unreal, the way they film it, with the camera and how they present it, they make it seem as if it's convincing to all of you, apparently, that this is totally real. That Unreal is actually real. No, this is a bunch of bullshit. This is a storyline, and it's an extra layer of a storyline on the mind. Because they're trying to keep the mystery of wrestling alive, and since they know that a lot of the backstage stuff has been exposed already, a way to keep the mystery alive is to make it seem as if the backstage stuff is actually real that you're seeing on camera. But if they pretend like they make it seem like it's real, then you guys are going to buy into the fact that the Unreal program is real. So I just think it's interesting. Who knows what's going to happen. The whole idea is to bring Vince back, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the whole idea was to have Triple H be successful at first. And he was. When Vince left, Triple H did the right thing, and better decisions were being made, right? We got the incredible WrestleMania 40. Other things were going on with Roman, Cody, all that stuff, The Rock. And the whole idea was to have Triple H do now terrible. They wanted Triple H to do amazing. And then their whole plot was, okay, give it a few years need to go by so that the issues with Vince are going to slowly go away. I mean, that's their mindset, right? And then we want Triple H to do terribly so that all the fans are going to miss Vince and want Vince McMahon back. Now, I know it seems hard to believe, right? You guys saw the empty crowds, right? There's been plenty of photographs shown of that shit. People aren't showing up to episodes of SmackDown. There was less people at the Royal Rumble this year probably than ever before in the history of wrestling, right? Especially in WWE. So I know it seems hard to believe. Would they really jeopardize their company like this? Yes, I believe they would, because they're trying to protect Vince and bring Vince back and restore his legacy to wrestling. Now, Triple H, we know what's going to happen. If Vince returns and their whole scheme works, then Triple H will just be like, oh, well, I tried. I went a little over my head. I was overwhelmed, and I needed some help, so sorry, right? Triple H can just do that shit, okay? And he doesn't care. His legacy that he cares about is his wrestling career, what he did in the ring. That's what he cares the most about. His legacy being tarnished because he was a bad booker, in wrestling history, that's not that bad of a thing to have on your resume. What would be worse if his career in the ring was bad? Because, he was a wrestler. Right? So him Triple H taking the fall for Vince makes sense. That's what they're all doing. This is the whole idea behind this. And plus, they can bounce back from this. They will jeopardize their own company, make it wane, and lose money on purpose because they can bounce back from it because they've always bounced back from it before. Remember how bad the ratings were in 95 and 96 when WCW was kicking their ass, right? The ratings were really bad. People thought WWE was embarrassing, or F, right? And then they created the Attitude Era. So if Vince returns, they'll just create another new thing, a whole other idea. So it's not like they haven't bounced back from bad ratings and shit before. You also have to remember how much money they have now that they teamed up with the Saudis. So they can actually take these kind of risks with people not showing up to tapings, okay? They can actually do this shit now. They have now been afforded the opportunity, especially teaming up with the Saudis with all this money. Now they could actually pull off this plot to bring Vince McMahon back to wrestling. I'm not so sure that Vince McMahon should return to the WWE. I think it would be interesting, but we all saw what happened when Brock Lesnar returned, and he had, issues going on with the stuff with Vince that we don't need to get into, right? Because it's uncomfortable, but we know what the shit is, because he was involved with the scandals that McMahon had, right? But anyway, Brock returned, okay? And the whole point is, when he returned, the cheers that he got and the reception he got, it was not like before. I don't think it was. Not to my ears. People were like, yay, it's Brock, but it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, we like you, we still love you, but this is a little odd. And it's going to be even worse if Vince returns. I think the last time he appeared in WWE, it was cool. He had a moment with the crowd. And they changed the tagline to, together. They added the term together, right? It was interesting, and that's how it should end. That's the final thing that Vince should do in wrestling in his appearance. He does not need to return again. It's fine. But wrestling is always a gamble. I mean, these people are crazy. These people are maniacs. They're psychopaths. They love this shit. They love putting, pulling. They love tricking everybody, and that's the whole art of wrestling. And yeah, we love it, but I'm just saying, I think this is what's really happening. Now, most people can't see this because nowadays we've been conditioned to believe that, these documentaries are real and this thing is also real. And that's true. Like the show Unreal, again, it's real, sort of. It mostly isn't real. But they put real things in there, like certain real things in there, to make it seem like the entire thing is real. So that the moment when Triple H is mocking LA Knight and shit, that would make it seem as if, this moment is real. But it's not. It's a bunch of bullshit. And Bruce Pritchard is there again, and it's like, come on, no. Like, you can tell this is all baloney. Anyway, these are my thoughts. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I insane, or am I right? Like LA Knight. Let me know. Please like and subscribe. My name is SuperPat98, and we'll see what happens, won't we?